Math 2, section 3.6. Today we are talking about congruence and right triangles. Our objective is to prove right triangles congruent using the hypotenuse-leg theorem. Okay, so on page 165, okay, you have this on your page. If you can go ahead and read all this to yourself, and then we will talk about it. Okay, what does this remind you guys of? Pythagorean theorem. Who remembers what the Pythagorean theorem is? Good. Okay, and then who remembers which parts are which part, like in terms of hypotenuse and leg? Okay, Shelby.
A and B are the legs and C is hypotenuse.
Good. And so if you have a right triangle and you have the hypotenuse value and the leg value, you are able to show congruence. Okay, so we're going to move on. Are we good? Okay. So this is just a reminder, and I'm hoping you guys remember this, but in a right triangle, a side that is not opposite the right angle is called a leg. So remember, just like you have two legs, a right triangle has two legs, okay? Your hypotenuse is always the side opposite the right angle, okay? And so, did somebody say something? Okay, all right, so are we all good with that? Yes? Okay, so page 166. So we have the hypotenuse-leg theorem. If the hypotenuse and the leg of a right triangle are congruent to the hypotenuse and a leg of the second triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So instead of having to prove, so if you have a right triangle and they're saying that these legs are congruent and the hypotenuse, if they are congruent, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay? And that is by hypotenuse leg. So most of the time when you have a right triangle, the theorem you will use is hypotenuse leg. And we abbreviate that with HL. Okay, so do you see here how we have a 90-degree angle? And in fact, on your little sheets, I might pull them out. Okay, and you know what? Something I don't know if I had you guys write this congruence here, triangle congruence, to remind you of the 4 different pieces. Did you guys write that down? Okay, so maybe pull out your little sticky notes. So when you're stating triangle congruence, we use side, 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 angle, 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 side. And then we just learned a new one right now, which is hypotenuse leg. And I might make a little note that when I have right triangles, a lot of the time I'm going to use hypotenuse leg. Does anybody need a new sticky note or not have one or just want to rewrite it? Okay, I'll bring some around real quick. Bless you. Bless you. Okay. Does everybody have this, or you guys need another minute? Okay, I'll wait another minute. Okay, are we good now? Yes? Okay. All right, so we are gonna do a proof here using, and they even tell us we're gonna use the hypotenuse leg theorem. Okay, this is on page 167, problem 1. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do our little chart here, and we have our statement and reason. Okay, so what do we always write first? Very good. So number 1, I'm going to write angle PRS and angle RPQ are right triangles. Okay, and then they also stated that line SP is congruent to line QR, and that is given. Okay, do you think there's anything else we need to state in this? So we have a hypotenuse, right? So remember, for hypotenuse leg, you need the hypotenuse in a right triangle, and you also need a leg. Is there a leg that we can show that's congruent? Which leg? Christian. And so how would I write this? Perfect. PR is congruent to PR, and that is by our reflexive property. And so I'll kind of make a little marking there. So is this a 90-degree angle? Was it stated it's a 90-degree angle? Yes. So we know it's a right triangle, and we know that the hypotenuse, those are congruent, and the legs are congruent, correct? And so basically we're done. So now we do our proof, and it is triangle PRS is congruent to triangle RPQ, and that was by which method? Hypotenuse leg. And we just have to write HL. If you want to write what that stands for this one time, you can. Okay, any questions here? All right, moving on. We're going to move on to page 168. And we're at practice problem number 1. So they kind of have a proof flow chart here. So let's go through and look. Okay, so they start by saying that these two angles are congruent, and that is because it was given. Okay? And so that was your PRS and the PRT, where that has the single line. Okay? Then it says angle PRS and angle PRT are right angles. Do you know, does anybody have an idea how they can state that those are right angles? What kind of line are those on? They're on a straight line, right? And so we actually haven't talked about this before specifically in our proofs, but if triangles are congruent and supplementary, and what does supplementary mean? 180. If you need to put 180 in parentheses there, you can. So if triangles are congruent and supplementary, then they are right angles. Are we okay with that? So if they are equal to each other and supplementary, they have to be 90 degrees each, because 90 plus 90 is 180. They couldn't be any other value. Okay? So then it says triangle PRS and triangle PRT are right triangles. That is by the definition of a right triangle. So the definition of a right triangle is if you have a 90-degree angle, it's a right triangle. Correct? Okay. Okay, then it goes on to say angle PRS and angle PRT are supplementary. Triangles that, oh, that's interesting. Okay, so they just wrote the same thing that we wrote in A. Okay, C. PS is congruent to PT. How do we know that? If you look up here, it is given. Good. D. Okay, line PR is congruent to line PR, and that is by, very good, reflexive property. And then E says they're congruent, and we know they're congruent by which method? Hypotenuse leg, which we'll just write as HL. Okay. Number 2. Okay, again, we're going to do our, oh, actually, sorry, we're going to go up here. That problem 2 first. Okay. I'm going to actually give you guys a chance in your groups to try to figure out the missing pieces. And I'm going to end up pulling 6 for these answers. So make sure you talk through this and understand what A, B, C, and D are. If you need help, I can walk around and help you too. Okay, it looks like once you got this. Working together. Okay, do I have a volunteer that wants to come up? You guys get a candy? Okay, so these are the definition of right triangle. You actually write the whole triangle part. And then other than that, everything's perfect. Okay, so when you go to this first line, it says, so blank by definition of right triangles. Since it's saying by definition of right triangles, you need to write the triangles. So this would have been triangle ABE is congruent to triangle DEB. Okay, and then on B it says because of the reflexive property. Which one is the reflexive property? Good, so line BE is congruent to line BE. And then it goes, it is also given that, so what else didn't they state about something being given? Good, AB is congruent to line DE. And then so these triangles are congruent by hypotenuse leg. Okay, questions? Questions? No? Okay. All right, this next one, we're going to do our chart with our statement and reason. And I would like you guys to give this a try on your own. Let's see what you can do. I have that there's 4 pieces to it. You know what? I lied. Because of time, I'm going to actually go through it with you. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so number 1, what am I going to write? All of our given information. So line CD is congruent to line EA. And AD, line AD, is a perpendicular bisector of CE. Okay, and that is given. Okay, what would we state next? Okay, Joseph, what do you think? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can do that. What I might actually do is even say triangle CBD is congruent to triangle ABE. Okay, and the reason that we know that they are congruent is because this one actually is perpendicular bisectors make right triangles. Or if you did definition of angle bisectors, if you did it that way, that would also maybe work. So that proved that we have these 2 right here. Okay, then what did it say? AD, this line, is the perpendicular bisector of CE. So what does that do to CE? It means it cuts it directly in half. So this is equal to this. How will I state that? Good. So CB is congruent to EB, and that would be by, and this is where it is definition of perpendicular bisector. Do I have enough information now? Yeah, so number 4 is that triangle CBD is congruent to triangle EBA, and it is by what method? Hypotenuse leg. Very good. Questions? Okay. Page 169. Okay, we're going to do one more proof here. Again, if we didn't, I'm sorry that we're running out of time because I kind of want you to do this on your own. Okay, step 1 is to give all your given information. Why did I say proof? Reason, sorry. Okay, I'm going to skip writing all this and we're going to put given. So it says that HV is perpendicular to GT, and then it's telling you that these two lines are congruent, GH and TV, and it also says that that L, is it an L? Is the midpoint of HV. An I? Okay. Okay, so what's something else we're going to state? Okay, we can do that. So we're going to do HI, good, is congruent to VI, and how do we know that? That's it, good job. Definition of midpoint. Okay, so we know these two are equal. Okay, what's going to be something else we have to state? Something about the 90-degree or right triangles. So I'm going to put that. Well, the HV. Okay, this is how I would write it. Okay, so I'm going to do the two triangles. Triangle IGH is congruent to triangle ITV, is that right? And the reason why is because HV is perpendicular to GT. I don't have to write because, I don't know why I just did that. Okay, and perpendicular lines make right triangles. Oh, you know what I wanted to put is that these two angles are right triangles, sorry. All right, so we've proven that they are right triangles, and then we've proven those sides, and so therefore are our legs. So now my last thing is just triangle congruence. Triangle IGH is congruent to triangle ITV, and that is by hypotenuse leg. Okay, determine if the two triangles are congruent. What would you say on 5? We're just going to say yes or no and then state which way, if the triangles are congruent. So what you want to look at is across from the 90, do they have the same numbers?
Yes.
Yes, and are one of their legs the same? Yes, so my answer is yes. Okay, we've proven that now by hypotenuse leg. And so I'm going to say triangle, if you want to go ABC, is congruent, and then which, how would I start over here? I think it's D, right? D, and then what? Isn't it DEF? D and A go together, and then E and B, and then F. See how E and B are both at the 90 degrees? Okay, what about number 6? This is the 90 degree right here, right? Is that across from the 2 marks? And those are both the legs, so it also is yes. Okay, this one I did triangle MPL is congruent to triangle MNO.